What's going on, guys? Ben with liftedimports.com, and today I want to talk to you real quick about off-road bumpers in your Subaru, whether it's lifted or not. Hopefully it is lifted. But I want to share with you my experience with getting an off-road bumper installed and just some recommendations that I would give to you if you're looking to have that done. But before we jump into that, if you want to check out more content related to off-roading in Subarus, lifting Subarus and things like that, head over to liftedimports.com. You can check out a bunch of good articles over there. Lots of good build features as well from other people just like you and me that have already lifted their Subarus and are off-roading it. Let's jump into it. Why would we install aftermarket off-road bumpers? Whether they're custom or pre-built, why would we do that? The biggest reason that I like to install off-road bumpers is so that I have good, solid recovery points. Recovery points are almost invaluable when it comes to being off-road and being able to safely get yourself out of situations that involve your car being stuck or somebody else being stuck. Having the right recovery points can definitely keep your car from sustaining permanent damage. It can help make sure that you are not involved in a recovery where a piece of metal comes flying out of your vehicle and hits somebody, unfortunately ends in a fatality. That's happened to people. That has absolutely happened in off-road recovery situations where somebody was hooked up to something that was not as structurally sound as they thought it was. They're yanking on it, trying to get somebody unstuck. Boom, pops loose, comes flying through the windshield of the person that was stuck. And that's the last thing we're trying to do. I never, ever want to hear about any of you guys getting injured or hurt or, ceasing to exist, for lack of a better word. Never want to hear about that happening to you guys while out on the trail. So we want to do this as safe as we can. And one of the ways that we can make sure that we're not sending projectiles through the air during a recovery is by having an off-road bumper that has solid recovery points that are mounted to the frame rails of the unibody of our Subarus. Now, our cars are not really made from the factory to be off-road machines. Obviously, we can modify them, lift them, put bigger tires on them and stuff like that. But we still have to contend with the fact that they don't really have recovery points built in. They have points that you can tow from, but in my opinion, they're not really sufficient for heavy duty dynamic recoveries when you're on the trail and you're stuck in like 1.5 feet of mud or something like that, or if you're in snow where you're completely buried up to the frame rails. In situations like that, it can require a lot of shock load to free the vehicle, and in those situations you do not want to have a weak recovery point that can fail during the process of you trying to get up and get unstuck. Now, what can you do about this? Well, in the rear, the easiest thing you can do to create yourself a good recovery point in the rear is to just get a trailer hitch. Get a trailer hitch receiver, and then get probably a 2-inch receiver is going to be the best route to go, I think, is the size that I would run. And then you'll just get yourself a D-ring shackle mount that goes right into the receiver. It goes in with a pin, locks in. Now you've got yourself a rear recovery point for probably around $200. That's the single best thing you guys can do for the rear. Now for the front, it's going to be a lot more challenging because, you can't get a trailer hitch for the front. But what you can do is two things. You can have somebody custom make you a bumper of some sort, either a steel or an aluminum bumper. I went ahead and had somebody make me a tube bumper. This was back during COVID times, and I had a hard time getting in somewhere and getting somebody to do this for me, because it's kind of an unorthodox thing for most people to do, is to build off-road bumpers for Subarus. But I finally found a guy that was able to do it, Austin Westfall, in out past Longview, Washington. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the town he lives in. Kalama. He lives in Kalama. Anyways, I took my car out to him, and he built me this bumper. Now, he's not a fabricator by trade, so don't roast the bumper. I mean, it's a perfectly fine bumper. I've done lots of recoveries with it, no problem. But you can basically get a fabricator to build you something that locks into the unibody usually right behind the crash bar. This one was fabricated with the crash bar intact, but you can definitely talk to a fabricator about what the best way to do it would be for your vehicle, and then have them do that and put a winch plate on it if you'd like, and then some recovery points. I had him weld a couple of recovery points on there, just some shackle points. I've used those a bunch, no problems. So that's one route, and I paid $600, and that might be a little bit on the low end. If you're paying a professional fabricator, you could probably expect to pay more than that, and it'll also depend where you live, the level of fab work, and just how complicated the design is that you want. That's going to play a role in how much you're going to pay. And of course, you know, that was a couple years ago, so with inflation, things are definitely going up. So I would maybe expect to pay about $1,000, again, depending on where you live and that type of thing. It's probably somewhere in that ballpark of what it would take to pay a professional fabricator to build you something. Now, if you're good with a welder and you know how to do that stuff, more power to you. Just, you know, you can build something up. But for the rest of us mere mortals, another option is you can get some prefabricated bumper options, one of which being the worn hidden winch bumper. It requires you to cut the lower portion of your bumper out, but it bolts up into the frame and gives you 2 solid recovery points and a spot to mount a small worn Axon 550 winch that is more than enough for most Subarus, and they look really good. I absolutely think it's one of the best looking winch bumpers out there for Subarus. Now, there's also a company called Body Armor 4x4. They make a similar winch mount. I think they kind of copied what Warn had already done, but you can definitely check those out. Those might be available for your car, and they are a slightly cheaper price point. So you can give it a check and see what you think. In my experience, Warn has always been the superior option for pretty much anything. They cost a lot of money, but like, for example, their winches, they rarely fail. They work good, they work hard. Man, you can't go wrong with their stuff. If you've got the money and you can afford Warn products, absolutely, I would recommend it. Now, there's also other options out there. Primitive Racing makes a couple of winch mounts for Subarus. They do allow for a winch to be mounted on your Subaru, which is super, super helpful. If you've got one of those, chances of you needing actual recovery points is a little bit lower. And then you're also gonna have other companies that are gonna enter the market. I know Anderson Design and Fabrication is currently working on some aftermarket prefabbed bumpers for Subarus. I think right now they're working on the SH and SG aluminum bumpers. Now, by the time you watch this, they may have already released those. They might actually come out with other models, I don't know. But Pat's always over there innovating, coming out with new stuff. He's got a lot of good equipment over there that he can use to make new products for us. So that would be another company to look at. And you can also check with Full Force Metalworks. Matt makes some bumpers, but they are expensive. So be prepared, you know, to pay what they cost. And I know that it can sometimes be a long waiting process from the time where you order to the time that it shows up. So be prepared for that as well. That being said, I think an aftermarket winch bumper is worth the money you're gonna pay for it. And they also just kind of give your car an aggressive look that I think is unmatched. I don't think there's any way to really make your car look more mean than how an off-road bumper can do for you. Okay, so you've got your winch bumper. What are some things that you'll wanna know ahead of time? Well, number one, in almost all situations, an aftermarket off-road bumper is going to change the aerodynamics of your vehicle, and they will reduce fuel economy. In my case, I have a tube bumper, which doesn't really guide air efficiently around the vehicle. And instead, I basically just have a bumper cut with some tubes around it. And that has been one of the single most impactful factors to my fuel economy. So typically I would get like probably 27-ish miles to the gallon in this vehicle in most situations on the freeway, somewhere around there. That might be a little overestimating. Right now, I have to struggle to get 24, and I'm usually sitting at around 21, 22, if I'm remembering correctly. Now, if I put stuff on the roof, I lose even more miles per gallon, but you will lose fuel economy, and even more so if you do something that leaves that space wide open with just a few tubes around it. Now, if you go with an aftermarket bumper, like the worn bumper cutout winch mount, those you probably won't experience as much of a loss, but it probably will still affect the aerodynamics just slightly, but probably not much at all. But then if you go with something that's just completely different than the way that the factory bumper was shaped, you're going to experience some drop in fuel economy. So that's something to be aware of. Just keep it in mind. And then another thing that you'll want to do is anytime you're out on the trails and you have to do any kind of recoveries from your winch bumper or just from your off-road bumper, make sure that if any paint gets scratched off, that you hit it with some paint, even if it's just spray paint. Now this, you might be like, well, why didn't you paint yours? That's just got some clear coat over it, which I wouldn't recommend clear coat because you can't tell if it's been scratched off again until it starts to rust. Make sure that you're coating these things as they wear. Just hit it with a little rattle can or something just to protect it. That way this thing will last for years, and you can continue to have a nice, good looking bumper that's not going to fall apart and rust to death. Way better than something that's been neglected. Okay guys, I know this is real basic, real bird's eye view, but if you want more information, you can go check out the liftedimports.com website. Check that out, and hit the comments if you got a specific question, or you can send me an email. Whatever you want to do, you can send me an email from the website. If there's anything in this video that's been helpful for you, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and then like the video. Absolutely appreciate that. And until next time, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out. See you out on the trails. Be safe and have a fantastic day.